Admiral Trell watched the blue planet grow larger on his display screen. His clawed fingers tapped against the command console as 847 warships of the Vastian Dominion moved through the darkness of space. This was supposed to be the easiest conquest of his career. The intelligence reports said these humans were primitives who barely managed to reach their own moon. They used chemical rockets like children playing with fireworks. "Admiral, we are approaching optimal firing range," his weapons officer announced. The reptilian creature's scales flickered with excitement. Another world to claim. Another species to enslave or eliminate. Trell had done this 32 times before. The pattern never changed. Drop out of hyperspace, show overwhelming force, demand surrender, and watch the primitives scramble to obey. Sometimes they fought back with their pathetic weapons. Sometimes they begged. Either way, they always fell. The Dominion owned half the galaxy for a reason. "Broadcast the surrender terms in all their primitive languages," Trell ordered. He leaned back in his throne-like chair, already imagining the commendations he would receive. The Dominion Council loved easy victories. They loved commanders who brought new worlds into the Empire without wasting resources. The communication officer worked his console. "Transmission sent, Admiral. Standard protocol. They have 3 minutes to respond or face total destruction." 3 minutes. Trell always gave them 3 minutes. It was generous, he thought. More than generous for species who could not even leave their own star system. His scouts had observed these humans for months. They saw primitive space stations, simple satellites, metal tubes that barely escaped their gravity well. Nothing that suggested any real technology, but something felt wrong. Trell's tactical officer, a young female named Sarah, studied her instruments with growing concern. "Admiral, I am detecting unusual energy signatures throughout this system. The readings do not match anything in our database." "Stellar radiation," Trell dismissed. "These yellow stars often produce strange readings. Focus on the planet. How many military installations?" "None detected, sir. But there are structures on their moon. Structures on the red planet they call Mars. Structures in the asteroid belt between the 4th and 5th planets. They are numerous." "Mining operations," Trell said. "Or perhaps research stations. Primitives often scatter their facilities. It makes them feel important." "Sir, some of these structures are quite large. Some show power signatures that seem excessive for simple research. Are they weapons platforms?" Sarah hesitated. "I cannot confirm. The energy signatures are unlike any weapon systems I know. But they could be power generation facilities." Trell waved his hand dismissively. 2 minutes until their time expires. Prepare firing solutions on their major cities. We will destroy 5 cities to show our seriousness. Then they will surrender." The bridge crew worked efficiently. They had done this before. Target the population centers. Kill enough to terrify the rest. Accept the surrender. Install a Dominion governor. Move to the next world. Simple, clean, effective. 1 minute remaining, the communication officer reported. No response from the planet. Trell felt a flicker of annoyance. Most species responded within the first minute. They either begged or threatened. Silence was unusual. Perhaps these humans were too primitive to understand the transmission. Perhaps they thought their silence showed courage. 30 seconds, Admiral. The fleet moved into attack formation. 847 ships arranged in a sphere around the planet. Enough firepower to turn the surface into molten glass. Enough weapons to exterminate every human in a single coordinated strike. 15 seconds. Trell prepared to give the order to fire. He had a speech ready. The speech he always gave. About the glory of the Dominion. About the wisdom of surrender. About how resistance was futile. 10 seconds. "Sir, wait." Sarah's voice cut through the bridge. She sounded frightened. Trell had never heard fear in her voice before. "What is it?" "Admiral, my tactical display just lit up. I have targeting locks. Thousands of targeting locks. They are everywhere." Trell looked at his own screen. What he saw made his blood freeze. Every ship in his fleet showed the same thing. Red indicators. Targeting locks. Not dozens. Not hundreds. Thousands upon thousands. Impossible, he whispered. Where are they coming from? Every structure in the system, sir. The stations we thought were research facilities. The platforms on the moon. The installations on Mars. The asteroids. Admiral, their weapons. All of them. Everything we saw is armed. The fleet's sensors suddenly detected what had been invisible before. Camouflage fell away like curtains dropping. What appeared to be civilian satellites transformed into weapons platforms. What looked like simple space stations revealed missile batteries. The asteroids themselves opened to show massive cannons. How many? Trell demanded. Over 40,000 confirmed weapons platforms, sir. And those are only the ones showing themselves. Recommend immediate retreat. Trell stared at the display. His easy conquest had become a nightmare. These primitives, who could not build proper spaceships, had somehow built an arsenal that dwarfed his entire fleet. All ships, prepare to withdraw. Emergency jump protocols. Before the order could be transmitted, a human voice filled every speaker on every ship. The voice was calm, female, almost bored. You gave us 3 minutes to surrender our entire species. That was insulting. We're going to give you 3 minutes to understand why coming here was the last mistake your empire will ever make. The weapons platforms fired. Space erupted with light. Trell's vanguard of 200 ships simply vanished. No explosions. No debris. They were there one moment and gone the next. Erased from existence by weapons that moved at impossible speeds. Return fire. Trell screamed. All ships, return fire. The Vastian fleet unleashed everything. Plasma cannons. Kinetic missile. Energy beams. Enough destruction to crack a planet. The weapons struck Earth's defensive shields and accomplished nothing. They splashed against invisible barriers like rain against glass. Shields holding at 100%, Sarah reported, her voice hollow with shock. Enemy shields are not even registering our attacks. It is as if we were throwing rocks at a mountain. 2 minutes had passed. Half of Trell's fleet was gone. The rest scattered, trying desperately to reach jump distance. But human weapons platforms surrounded them. Every direction showed death. Admiral Trell finally understood. Earth had been waiting, watching, preparing, and now humanity would show the galaxy what happened to those who threatened them. Commander Rebecca Stone sipped her water and watched the alien fleet fall apart on her screens. She sat in a room buried 3 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by display walls showing every corner of the solar system. Technicians worked quietly at their stations. Nobody panicked. Nobody shouted. They had trained for this moment for 80 years. Vanguard eliminated, reported Lieutenant Davis from the tactical station. Remaining enemy vessels are attempting to scatter. Predictive algorithms have calculated their escape vectors. Deploy the grid, Rebecca said softly. Across the solar system, thousands more weapons platforms activated. These were not the obvious defenses that had destroyed the first wave. These were hidden in plain sight, disguised as asteroids, buried in moon craters, floating as space debris. Now, they moved into position, creating an invisible net around the fleeing alien ships. Rebecca had studied the Vastian Dominion for decades. She knew their tactics, their formations, their retreat protocols. Every Vastian ship captain learned the same escape maneuvers at their military academy. They all followed the same patterns when facing superior force. That predictability would kill them. First barrier line engaged. Davis announced Point 20 Vastian cruisers tried to punch through what they thought was a gap in Earth's defenses. Kinetic weapons traveling at 80% light speed turned those cruisers into clouds of superheated plasma. The impacts were so violent that nearby Vastian ships suffered damage from the secondary radiation. Sir, we are receiving communication requests from multiple enemy vessels, the communications specialist said. They are attempting to surrender. Rebecca checked the mission clock. 2 minutes and 40 seconds since the battle began. Over 500 alien ships destroyed. The remainder trapped and desperate. No response, she ordered. They gave us 3 minutes. We will use the full time. The decision was calculated. Cold. Necessary. If humanity showed mercy now, other species would see weakness. They would think Earth could be negotiated with, threatened, manipulated. Better to be feared completely than respected partially. Enemy vessels are now firing on each other, Davis reported with surprise. They appear to be fighting for escape routes. Rebecca was not surprised. She had read the Dominion's cultural files. They were a hierarchical species where the strong dominated the weak. In moments of crisis, their cooperation collapsed. Captains would sacrifice other ships to save themselves. It made them formidable conquerors but terrible defenders. Maintain firing solution Delta 7, Rebecca instructed. Eliminate ships in order of threat assessment. Prioritize vessels with the most advanced shields. More alien ships died. Earth's weapons used technology the Vastians could not comprehend. Quantum disruption warheads that collapsed matter at the subatomic level. Gravitational lances that created miniature black holes lasting only microseconds but devastating everything in their path. Directed energy beams that phased through conventional shields as if they did not exist. The technological gap was not measured in years or decades. It was measured in centuries. While the Vastian Dominion conquered primitive worlds, humanity had been preparing for this exact scenario. Rebecca remembered the day everything changed. She had been a child, 12 years old, playing in her backyard when the news broke. First contact, not with friendly explorers, not with peaceful traders, with refugees. The Talvine species had limped into Earth's solar system in a damaged ship, fleeing Vastian conquest. They warned humanity about the galactic reality. There was no federation of peaceful worlds, no council of cooperation, only predators and prey. Earth made a choice that day. Never be prey. Every nation surrendered some sovereignty. Every government contributed resources. Military budgets multiplied. The best scientists worked together. Weapons programs operated in absolute secrecy. To the galaxy, Earth appeared primitive, backward, struggling with basic spaceflight. That was the camouflage. Behind it, humanity built an arsenal capable of burning the galaxy. 3 minutes elapsed, Davis reported. Open a channel to the enemy flagship, Rebecca ordered. Let's speak with their admiral. The main screen flickered. An alien face appeared. Reptilian. Scales. Yellow eyes wide with terror. Admiral Trell looked like he had aged 10 years in 3 minutes. You are still alive, Rebecca observed. Your flagship has not been fired upon. Do you know why? Trell's translator worked quickly, turning his hissing speech into English. You spared me to send a message. Correct. How many ships did you bring to conquer Earth? 847, Trell admitted, his voice hollow. How many remain? The alien admiral checked his tactical display. His expression showed defeat. 93. In 3 minutes, you lost almost 90% of your fleet. Your weapons could not penetrate our shields. Your tactics were predicted and countered. Your technology was obsolete before you entered our system. Rebecca leaned forward. Do you understand what this means? You could have destroyed us all, Trell said quietly. We could have destroyed you before you entered Mars orbit. We allowed you to approach Earth. We let you broadcast your surrender demands. We gave you time to understand your situation. Do you know why? Trell shook his head. Because we wanted you to report this to your superiors. We wanted you to tell the Dominion Council what happens when someone threatens Earth. We could have killed you silently, made you disappear, but then another fleet would come, and another, until we were forced to do what we truly do not wish to do. What is that? Trell asked. Exterminate your entire species, Rebecca said simply. We have the capability. Right now, at this moment, we have weapons positioned in orbit around every major Dominion world. We have stealth platforms near every military installation you possess. We could trigger them simultaneously and end your civilization before your council finishes their morning meal. Trell's face showed disbelief. Impossible. We would have detected them. Rebecca pressed a button. The screen split. Images appeared showing Vastian worlds, their colonies, their military stations. Each image had a timestamp. Current time, real-time surveillance. You never detected them because our technology makes yours look like stone tools, Rebecca said. We have been watching you for 80 years. Learning, planning, preparing. While you thought Earth was primitive, we were already in your space, already in your systems, already holding the trigger. Admiral Trell stared at the images of his homeworld, his people going about their lives, unaware that human weapons platforms floated in their orbit. Invisible, silent, deadly. What do you want? He whispered. We want you to deliver a message to your Dominion Council, Rebecca said. Earth is not to be touched. Any Dominion ship entering our space will be destroyed. Any threat to humanity will result in the complete annihilation of your species. We will not conquer you. We will not enslave you. We will simply erase you from existence. Do you understand? Yes. Good. Your remaining ships will be allowed to leave. Return to your masters. Tell them what happened here. Tell them what waits if they ever threaten Earth again. The transmission ended. Rebecca turned to her staff. Let them go. Full system monitoring for the next 72 hours. If any vessel deviates from direct departure vector, eliminate it. She stood and walked to the observation window. Through the reinforced glass, she could see the command center. Hundreds of people working together. All of them had dedicated their lives to protecting Earth. All of them understood the burden. Humanity did not want to be the galaxy's monster. But if the choice was between being feared and being enslaved, the decision was simple. Earth would rather burn the stars than bend the knee. The Vastian Council chamber fell silent as Admiral Trell finished his report. 17 council members sat in their elevated seats, looking down at the disgraced admiral who stood alone in the center of the circular room. They had expected him to return with news of conquest. Instead, he brought news of catastrophic defeat. High Counselor Drax leaned forward, his ancient scales dull with age, but his eyes sharp with intelligence. You expect us to believe that these primitive humans destroyed over 700 warships in minutes? That they possess weapons we cannot comprehend? That they have been spying on us for decades? I expect nothing, Counselor, Trell replied, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. I only report what happened, what I witnessed, what I survived. Counselor Vesh, the military commander, slammed her clawed hand on her desk. This is impossible. Our intelligence was thorough. Humans use chemical propulsion. They have not achieved faster-than-light travel. They barely maintain stations in orbit around their own planet. That is what they wanted us to see, Trell said. I thought the same thing, until their weapons platforms revealed themselves. Until their actual warships appeared. Actual warships. Drax questioned. You mentioned platforms in your preliminary report. Now you speak of warships. Trell activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the center of the chamber. Sleek vessels unlike anything in the Dominion database. Ships that seemed to blend organic curves with geometric precision. Weapons that glowed with barely contained energy. 50 warships decloaked after the platforms destroyed our vanguard, Trell explained. Each one smaller than our cruisers. Each one capable of destroying 10 of our ships without sustaining damage. They moved using technology one do not understand. They appeared and disappeared instantly. No hyperspace signature. No energy buildup. They simply existed in one location and then existed in another. The council members exchanged glances. Some showed fear. Others showed skepticism. A few showed anger. Show us this human commander, Drax ordered. The hologram changed. Rebecca Stone's face appeared, three-dimensional and life-sized. She looked unremarkable by Dominion standards. No clothes, no skulls, no obvious predatory features. But her eyes held something that made the council members uncomfortable. Certainty, absolute confidence. She told me they have weapons in orbit around every major Dominion world, Trell said quietly. She showed me real-time images to prove it. I verified the timestamps. I had our intelligence verify the geographic features. Everything was current. Everything was real. Lies, Vesh insisted. Sophisticated deception. Manipulated footage. They cannot possibly have penetrated our space undetected. Trell pressed another control. New images appeared. Dominion Prime, the homeworld. The military academy where Vesh herself had trained. The council chamber where they now sat. All photographed from orbit. All showing details that could only come from direct observation. The chamber fell silent. When were these images taken? Drax asked softly. According to the human timestamps, 6 hours ago, Trell replied. While we held this emergency session, human surveillance platforms were watching us. They are watching us now. Panic rippled through the council. Several members looked up as if they could see through the ceiling to the sky above, as if human weapons might be targeting them at this very moment. This changes everything, Drax said. If they truly possess this capability, if they can strike us at will, then we face extinction. Perhaps we should negotiate, suggested Counselor Prane, the diplomatic specialist. Open dialogue. Establish peaceful relations. With what leverage? Vesh demanded. They hold all the power. They demonstrated absolute superiority. Why would they negotiate when they can simply dictate terms? Because they chose not to destroy us, Trell said. All eyes turned to him. They could have eliminated my entire fleet without warning. They could have fired on us the moment we entered their system. Instead, they waited. They let us approach. They gave us time to understand our situation. Why? Drax asked. Because they are not like us, Trell answered. They do not conquer for the sake of conquest. The human commander told me they only want to be left alone. They built their weapons as defense, not as tools of empire. But they made their message clear. Leave Earth alone or face total annihilation. The council debated for hours. Some argued for immediate military escalation, build better weapons, form alliances with other powers, strike Earth with everything the Dominion possessed. Others urged caution, recommended withdrawal, suggested closing all borders near human space. Finally, Drax called for silence. We must test their resolve. Send a diplomatic mission. A single ship, unarmed, carrying a formal request for negotiation. And if they refuse, Vesh asked, then we know they only understand force. But if they accept, we may find a way to coexist. The council voted. The decision was made. Trell was ordered to select the diplomatic ship and crew. He chose carefully, a small vessel, experienced diplomats, people who understood nuance and subtlety. 3 days later, the ship entered the solar system. It broadcast peaceful intentions on all frequencies. It followed exact protocols for diplomatic approach. It did everything correctly. Earth's response came immediately. Rebecca Stone's face appeared on their communication screen. You were warned, she said simply. 1 ship or 1,000 ships makes no difference. You were told to stay away from our space. We come peacefully, the lead diplomat protested. We wish to negotiate, to establish dialogue. You established dialogue when you sent a conquest fleet to our world, Rebecca replied. You established your intentions when you demanded our surrender. Now, we establish ours. This is your final warning. Leave immediately, but surely reasonable beings can find common ground. Rebecca's expression did not change. We gave you 72 hours to depart our space after your fleet's defeat. That time has expired. You have 30 seconds to begin your jump sequence. After that, you will be destroyed. The diplomat tried to continue speaking, tried to explain, tried to negotiate that 29 seconds, a single human weapons platform fired. The diplomatic ship ceased to exist. Not destroyed in the traditional sense. It simply stopped being, converted to its component atoms by weapons that rewrote the fundamental forces holding matter together. Back on Dominion Prime, the council watched the transmission end. They watched their diplomats vanish. They understood the message. Earth would not negotiate, would not compromise, would not show mercy to those who ignored their warnings. High Counselor Drax issued the order that would reshape Dominion policy. All ships were forbidden from entering the sector containing Earth's solar system. Any captain who violated this order would be executed. Any plan involving humanity would be rejected. The Vastian Dominion, conquerors of half the galaxy, had found a species they could not defeat, could not intimidate, could not control. For the first time in their history, they learned to fear. Trell stood in his quarters that night, looking at the stars through his window. Somewhere out there, beyond the vast distances, Earth continued its silent watch. Humans continued building weapons, continued planning, continued waiting. He wondered if the galaxy would ever be safe again. Then he realized the truth. The galaxy had never been safe. Humanity had simply revealed that fact to everyone who thought themselves invincible. The strong did not always survive. Sometimes the prepared did. News traveled fast across the galaxy, carried by traders and refugees and spies. Within weeks, every major civilization knew what happened at Earth. The stories varied in details but agreed on the core facts. The Vastian Dominion's third conquest fleet had been obliterated. Humanity possessed weapons beyond galactic understanding. Earth had become the most dangerous world in known space. Ambassador Kilran of the Mexith Coalition sat in her office aboard the trade station orbiting Nexus 4. She reviewed intelligence reports with growing concern. The Mexith were a practical species. They had survived by being neutral, trading with everyone, fighting with no one, staying clear of conflicts between the major powers. But humanity changed the calculation. "Show me the footage again," Kilran ordered her assistant. The holographic display activated. Grainy images captured by a civilian freighter that happened to be passing through a nearby system. The footage showed Vastian ships fleeing from Earth's solar system. Showed vessels limping away with massive damage. Showed Admiral Trell's flagship, intact but clearly defeated. "Our analysts estimate the humans destroyed over 750 warships in less than 4 minutes," the assistant reported. "The Dominion's most powerful fleet. Gone." Kilran studied the images carefully. She had spent 40 years in diplomatic service. She had negotiated with dozens of species. She understood power dynamics. What she saw here terrified her. "The Dominion has not made any official statement," she asked. "Only internal communications, which our sources intercepted. High Counselor Drax issued orders forbidding all Dominion vessels from approaching Earth sector. Violators face execution. The Dominion is treating humanity as an existential threat." "Smart," Kilran muttered. "What about the other powers? The Federation? The Syndicate?" The assistant pulled up additional reports. The Federation held an emergency session. They voted to establish a 500 light-year buffer zone around Earth. No Federation ship may enter without explicit approval from their high command. The Syndicate is more aggressive. They're forming a committee to study human technology and determine if they pose a threat. Kilran laughed bitterly. "Pose a threat? They have already demonstrated they're the greatest threat in the galaxy. The Syndicate studies committees while humanity watches them from orbit. What should we do, Ambassador?" That was the question. What should the Mexith do? They were not warriors. They were not conquerors. They were traders and diplomats. But they needed to respond somehow. "Send a message to the Mexith Council," Kilran decided. "Recommend immediate establishment of formal relations with Earth. Send a trade delegation. Offer technology exchange. Cultural exchange. Anything that shows we mean no harm. The humans may refuse contact," the assistant warned. "Then at least we tried. Better to approach them as friends than to wait and be seen as potential threats." While the major powers debated and planned, smaller species made their own decisions. Some followed the Mexith approach, sending peaceful delegations. Others declared their entire species off-limits to human contact. A few foolish governments tried to make plans to steal human technology. Those governments did not last long. The Howard Collective attempted to send stealth ships to observe Earth's defenses up close. 3 ships entered the solar system using the best cloaking technology the Howard possessed. All 3 ships were destroyed before they traveled 1,000,000 kilometers. Earth did not issue warnings, did not make demands, simply eliminated the threat. The Howard government received a single message. Rebecca Stone's face on their communication screens. "Your stealth technology is primitive. Your ships were detected the moment they entered our system. We have eliminated them. Do not test us again." The message was only 15 seconds long, but it conveyed everything necessary. The Howrick withdrew all operations within 1,000 light-years of Earth. They issued formal apologies. They begged for mercy. Earth did not respond that on a small colony world called Haven's Rest, a different kind of meeting took place. Representatives from 12 species gathered in secret. These were not the major powers. These were the conquered, the enslaved, the oppressed. Species that lived under Dominion rule or feared Dominion conquest, a Talvine elder named Soren addressed the group. His people had warned Earth about the Dominion 8 decades ago. Now he shared what he knew. The humans did not forget us, Soren explained. After we warned them about the galactic reality, they asked questions. About the Dominion, about other powers, about who suffered under their rule. We told them everything. And they did nothing, asked a Freilian representative, her tentacles writhing with frustration. They did everything, Soren corrected, but they did it in secret. Over the past 50 years, our people received anonymous shipments, new weapons, advanced shields, encrypted communications equipment. We never knew the source, but now we understand. Humans were helping us. The representatives stirred. This was unexpected. They helped you? Why? Because they hate oppression, Soren said simply. They spent their entire history fighting against it. When they learned about the Dominion's conquests, about species forced into slavery, they could not ignore it. But they were not ready to fight openly. So they helped in secret. A Brellian leader leaned forward. You're saying humanity has been arming resistance movements across the galaxy. Not just arming, training, advising, planning. There are 17 species who have successfully resisted Dominion conquest in the past 30 years. Every one of them had help from human technology and strategy. We just did not know it came from humans. The implications settled over the group. Humanity had not simply prepared to defend themselves. They had been actively undermining the Dominion's expansion, quietly, efficiently, without taking credit or demanding allegiance. What do they want in return? The Freilian asked suspiciously. Nothing, Soren replied. They asked for nothing. No payment. No tritis. No alliances. They simply provided help and disappeared. No species does that, someone protested. Everyone wants something. Humans want the Dominion destroyed, Soren said, or at least contained. They see the Dominion as a threat to all free species. By helping us resist, they weaken their enemy without firing a shot. A Kelthian strategist spoke up. If the humans are this advanced, why do they not simply destroy the Dominion? They clearly have the capability. Soren paused before answering. I asked a human officer that question once. Years ago, when I met one of their advisors. She told me something I have never forgotten. She said humans prefer not to kill unless absolutely necessary. They would rather help others free themselves than conquer and rule. Because true freedom cannot be given. It must be taken. The room fell silent as they considered this philosophy. It was alien to most galactic thinking. Power was meant to be used. Strength was meant to dominate. But humans seem to operate on different principles. So what happens now? The Freilian asked. The Dominion has been humiliated. They will be more aggressive, more desperate, more dangerous. Soren smiled. Now we contact Earth officially. We thank them for their help. We offer formal alliance. We show the galaxy that humanity has friends. That attacking Earth means attacking all of us. The Dominion would destroy us all, someone warned. Would they? Soren challenged. They cannot destroy Earth. What makes you think they could destroy 17 species armed with human technology, united under human coordination, supported by human strategy? The representatives began to understand. Humanity had not just defended themselves. They had been building a network, creating allies, preparing for exactly this moment. The Dominion thought they ruled half the galaxy, Soren continued. They were wrong. They occupied half the galaxy, but they never truly ruled, because humanity was always there, in the shadows, helping those who wanted freedom, planning for the day they could reveal themselves. A vote was called. 12 species agreed to send a joint delegation to Earth, to offer formal alliance, to request continued cooperation, to show the galaxy that humanity was not alone. When Rebecca Stone received their message, she smiled. Everything was proceeding as planned. Earth did not want an empire, but an alliance of free species united against tyranny? That was something worth building. The galaxy was changing. The strong no longer dictated terms to the weak, because the weak now had humanity watching their backs, and humanity never forgave those who oppressed others. The delegation arrived at Earth 6 weeks after sending their request. 12 ships representing 17 species, traveling together for mutual protection. They emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system and immediately transmitted their peaceful intentions on every frequency. Earth's response came within seconds. A young human man appeared on their screens, wearing a simple blue uniform with no obvious rank insignia. Welcome to the Sol System. My name is Officer Rodriguez. We have been expecting you. Please follow the designated flight path to Mars. You will dock at Olympus Station. Any deviation from the flight path will result in immediate destruction. Do you understand? Soren, speaking for the delegation, confirmed understanding. The Talvine elder had visited Earth once before, 80 years ago, when his people fled the Dominion. But that Earth had been different, primitive, vulnerable. Now he saw the truth. The flight path took them past hundreds of weapons platforms, each one larger than a battleship, each one bristling with armaments that could sterilize planets. The platforms did not hide. They wanted to be seen, wanted visitors to understand the cost of aggression. They have turned their entire solar system into a fortress, whispered Kelra, the Frelian representative. Her tentacles coiled nervously around her seat supports. I count over 3,000 platforms just on our approach vector. 3,000 that they show us, Soren corrected. Remember, they hid all of this from the Dominion until the moment of attack. What we see now is just the warning. The real defenses remain hidden. Mars grew larger in their viewports. The red planet's surface showed massive installations, dome cities, industrial complexes, mining operations, but also military bases, weapons testing ranges, shipyards where human warships were constructed. Olympus Station hung in orbit above the largest volcano in the solar system. The station was enormous, easily 10 times larger than any structure the delegation had seen. It rotated slowly, generating artificial gravity. Docking ports extended like fingers, ready to receive visitors. The ships docked smoothly. The delegates gathered in the main reception area, nervous despite their peaceful intentions. They had come to offer alliance, to thank humanity for secret help, to request continued cooperation. But they knew humans held all the power in this negotiation. Rebecca Stone met them personally. She wore civilian clothes, simple and practical. No military uniform, no weapons, no intimidación. She greeted each delegate by name, speaking their languages perfectly, showing knowledge of their cultures. "Thank you for coming," Rebecca said, leading them to a conference room with windows overlooking Mars. "I know this journey required courage. You risked Dominion anger by openly associating with us. We risk more by not associating with you," Soren replied. "Humanity has helped our species for decades. We come to acknowledge that help, to offer formal thanks, to request continued friendship." Rebecca nodded. "Before we discuss alliances and treaties, I need you to understand something about humanity. We do not seek to replace the Dominion as galactic rulers. We have no interest in conquest or empire. Our only goal is to ensure Earth's freedom and to help others maintain their freedom." "Then why help us secretly?" Kelra asked. "Why not announce your capabilities and force the Dominion to retreat?" "Because dramatic revelation causes panic," Rebecca explained. "If we had suddenly appeared as a military superpower, every species would have feared us. Some would have attacked preemptively. Others would have sought alliances against us. The galaxy would have fractured into chaos. Instead, you prepared in silence," Soren said. "Let the Dominion attack you. Let them reveal your power through their own defeat." "Exactly. Now, the galaxy knows we are dangerous, but they also know we only fight when attacked. We have established ourselves as defensive, not aggressive. As protectors, not conquerors." A Brellian delegate named Torin spoke up, his crystalline voice chiming. "You showed mercy to Admiral Trell. You let him live to carry your message. Why? You could have eliminated all witnesses." Rebecca walked to the window, looking down at Mars. "Because we wanted the Dominion to understand their situation. Dead enemies cannot learn, cannot change, cannot spread the message that attacking humanity is suicide. Trell serves us better alive than dead." "But you destroyed the diplomatic mission," Kelra pointed out. You showed no mercy there. They ignored our warning, Rebecca said firmly. We told them to stay away. They came anyway. Mercy shown to those who ignore warnings is not mercy. It is weakness, and weakness invites more aggression. The delegates understood. Humans operated on clear principles. Warnings given, consequences delivered. No negotiation with those who refuse to listen. What about those who do listen? Soren asked. Those who respect your boundaries? Who seek friendship rather than conquest? Rebecca turned back to the group, smiling. That is why you are here. That is why we invited you to Mars instead of simply communicating through distant channels. We are ready to formalize what has been informal, to acknowledge publicly what we have done privately. She activated a holographic display. Images appeared showing weapon shipments to Talveen worlds, training missions with Freljin resistance fighters, technology transfers to Brellian colonies, decades of secret cooperation documented and confirmed. You helped all of us, Torrens said quietly. Protected us, armed us, trained us, without asking anything in return. We asked for one thing, Rebecca corrected. We asked you to resist, to fight for your freedom, to never surrender to oppression. That was all we required. And now we formalize the arrangement. The coalition of free worlds, an alliance of species dedicated to mutual defense and freedom. No member may be conquered without all members responding. No member may conquer others without being expelled. Democracy and freedom are the only requirements for membership. The delegates exchanged glances. This was more than they had hoped for. Not just continued secret help, but open alliance. Public partnership with the most powerful species in the galaxy. What if the Dominion attacks us in response? Kelra asked. They will see this alliance as a threat. They should, Rebecca said bluntly, because it is a threat. The coalition will have 17 founding members representing hundreds of worlds, all armed with human technology, all trained in human tactics, all protected by human defenses. If the Dominion attacks any coalition world, they face all of us, including Earth's military. Soren asked, including Earth's military. We will not conquer for you. We'll not fight your battles without your participation, but we will stand beside you, provide weapons, strategy, support, and if necessary, direct intervention. A Kelthian delegate named Vryn raised a concern. What prevents you from dominating the coalition? You possess all the military power, all the advanced technology. We will be dependent on you. Rebecca had expected this question. 3 protections. First, we will share defensive technology freely. Shield generators, weapons platforms, sensor systems. You will be able to defend yourselves. Second, we will not share offensive weapons beyond basic armaments. You can protect your worlds, but cannot project power across the galaxy. Third, Earth will never hold a leadership position in the coalition. You will govern yourselves. Make your own decisions. We only provide support. You trust us to govern wisely. Vryn asked skeptically. We trust you to govern yourselves, Rebecca corrected. Wisdom is learned through experience. Mistakes will happen, but those will be your mistakes to make and learn from. Better than our wisdom imposed on you. The philosophy was clear. Humans believed in freedom even when freedom led to imperfect choices. They would rather see allies stumble than see them controlled. Soren stood, his aged body moving with difficulty. On behalf of the Talveen people, I accept membership in the coalition of free worlds. We pledge to defend freedom, to resist oppression, to stand with humanity and all free species against tyranny. One by one, the other delegates stood. One by one, they pledged their species to the coalition. Not because they feared humanity, not because they sought protection without cost, but because they believed in the principle freedom was worth fighting for, worth dying for, worth standing together to defend. Rebecca watched them pledge, feeling the weight of responsibility. Earth had revealed itself to the galaxy, had chosen sides, had committed to defending not just themselves, but others. There was no going back now. The coalition of free worlds existed, and the galaxy would never be the same. High Counselor Drax sat in his private chambers, reviewing intelligence reports with increasing fury. The coalition of free worlds had been officially announced 3 months ago. 17 species publicly allied with humanity. Hundreds of worlds declaring independence from Dominion influence. Centuries of carefully built power structures crumbling. They must be stopped, Counselor Vesh declared, her scales bristling with anger. She had demanded this private meeting with Drax. The coalition grows stronger every day. More species join. More worlds rebel. If we do not act now, the Dominion will collapse. Drax closed the reports. What do you propose? Attack Earth again? We saw how that ended. Not Earth directly. Strike coalition worlds. Show them that human protection is worthless. Destroy their fleets. Occupy their planets. Force them to choose between submission and destruction. The humans will respond, Drax warned. Let them. We will be ready this time. We have been studying the data from Trell's encounter, building new weapons, developing new tactics. The humans surprised us once. They will not surprise us again. Drax studied his military commander carefully. Vesh was brilliant but arrogant. Dangerous qualities in combination. You believe we can defeat them? I believe we can hurt them. Make the cost of protecting the coalition too high. Force them to withdraw, return to their system, and leave the galaxy to its natural order. The plan had merit. Humans had shown defensive strength, but never offensive capability. Perhaps they were vulnerable away from their fortified solar system. Perhaps their technology had limits. Perhaps the Dominion could find a way to win. Drax made his decision. Select your targets carefully. Avoid any world with significant human presence. Strike quickly and withdraw. Test their response. Vesh smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. It will be done. 2 weeks later, the Dominion fleet attacked a Freljand colony world called New Harbor. 300 warships emerged from hyperspace and began orbital bombardment. The colony's defenses fought back using human-provided weapons, but they were outnumbered. Outgunned, dying, the Freljand government sent desperate messages to the coalition, to Earth, to anyone who would help. Rebecca Stone received the alert in her office on Earth. She studied the tactical display showing the Dominion fleet destroying New Harbor. Studied the casualty reports climbing every second. Studied the desperation in the Freljand pleas for help. How long until our nearest response fleet arrives? She asked. For hours, replied Admiral Harris, now commander of Earth's expeditionary forces. The Dominion will have destroyed the colony by then. Then we use the emergency option. Harris hesitated. Director, the emergency protocols have never been tested in actual combat. We do not know if they will work as designed. They will work. Activate Protocol Guardian. Across the galaxy, hidden in the outer regions of the New Harbor system, a human weapons platform received its activation signal. The platform had been placed there months ago, long before the coalition was announced. It had waited in silence, invisible to sensors, dormant but ready. Now it awoke. The platform was small compared to the massive defense stations orbiting Earth, but it carried weapons that made size irrelevant. Quantum displacement warheads, gravitational collapse missile, zero-point energy beams, enough destructive capability to end the battle in seconds. The Dominion fleet never knew what hit them. One moment they were bombarding a helpless colony. The next moment their vanguard ceased to exist. 50 ships simply vanished as quantum warheads erased them from reality. Admiral Corvin, commanding the Dominion attack, screamed orders to locate the threat. His sensors showed nothing. No ships, no stations, no source for the weapon's fire. Just empty space and death. All ship, combat formation. Return fire on anything that moves. The Dominion fleet fired blindly into space. Their weapons found nothing. The human platform remained invisible, using technology that bent detection around itself like light around a black hole. Another salvo. Another 100 ships destroyed. The platform's AI calculated firing solutions faster than organic minds could comprehend, predicted where ships would move, anticipated evasive maneuvers, struck with perfect accuracy. Retreat, Corvin ordered. Emergency jump. Get us out of here. The remaining ships tried to flee. Most did not make it. The platform destroyed them methodically, efficiently, without mercy. Within 7 minutes of activation, the entire Dominion fleet was gone. 300 warships reduced to debris and radiation. The platform sent a single message to New Harbor, to the Freilian survivors who had watched in stunned silence as their enemies died. This is Earth Defense Platform Guardian 7. The threat has been eliminated. Medical and reconstruction ships will arrive within 4 hours. You are safe now. Then the platform went dormant again, waiting for the next threat. On Dominion Prime, the Council received reports of the massacre with horrified disbelief. Another fleet destroyed. Another demonstration of human superiority. Another humiliation. They did not even send ships, Drax said quietly. They destroyed 300 of our best vessels with a single automated platform. How do we fight an enemy like that? We cannot, admitted Vesh, her earlier confidence shattered. They have weapons everywhere. Watching. Waiting. We thought we controlled the galaxy. We controlled nothing. Humanity allowed us to exist. The moment we threaten their interests, we die. The Dominion faced a choice. Continue fighting and face extinction, or accept the new reality and adapt. Drax made the hardest decision of his long life. He ordered the Dominion to stand down, to cease all expansion, to release occupied worlds that wished to join the coalition, to accept that humanity had redrawn the galactic map. The announcement shocked the galaxy. The Vastian Dominion, conquerors of thousands of worlds, surrendered without Earth firing a shot from their actual fleet. Surrendered to the threat of what might happen if they continued. Over the next year, the coalition grew from 17 species to 43, then to 68. Worlds that had suffered under Dominion rule joined eagerly. Species that feared conquest found safety in numbers. The galaxy reorganized around a simple principle: freedom or isolation. The Dominion did not disappear. They retreated to their core worlds, maintained their government, their culture, their way of life. But they stopped expanding, stopped conquering, stopped enslaving others, because humanity watched, and humanity had proven they would act. Rebecca Stone stood on the observation deck of Olympus Station 5 years after the Battle of New Harbor. She looked at Earth in the distance, that blue jewel that had seemed so vulnerable when the Talveen first warned them. Now Earth was the guarantor of galactic peace. Not through empire, not through control, but through the simple promise: attack the free and face annihilation. Director, we have another request for coalition membership, an aide reported. The Delvian Republic. They submitted all required documentation. Review their application. If they meet the criteria, welcome them. The aide hesitated. Director, at current growth rates, the coalition will represent 3/4 of known space within 20 years. What happens when we are no longer a coalition, but effectively the galactic government? Rebecca smiled. Then we ensure we govern according to our principles. Freedom, democracy, self-determination. The coalition exists to protect, not to rule. As long as we remember that, we will be fine. And if we forget, then some other species will rise to remind us. The galaxy has a way of checking power. We learned that lesson. We teach it to others now. The aide left to process the new application. Rebecca remained at the window, watching ships come and go from Earth. Trade vessels, diplomatic ships, tourist cruisers. Earth had opened to the galaxy, but on their terms. She thought about Admiral Trell sometimes. Wondered if he understood that his attack had changed everything. That his defeat had not destroyed the Dominion, but transformed it. Forced it to evolve. Made it part of a galaxy where strength served freedom instead of oppressing it. Humanity had erased the Imperial fleet from existence. But they had not erased the lesson. The galaxy learned, adapted, grew, and Earth stood watch, ready to defend the principle that no species should bow to another. The strong did not rule. The free did, and humanity would ensure it stayed that way.